Speech off.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So I'm here to do my what I added to Goodreads in November video. We'll see how this goes. I added a lot of books. I may skip some because they're my December TBR, but we'll just see what we got. So yeah. First one we have here is At Morning's Light, Home to Green Creek number 2 by Lorraine Snelling. This one came out on December 2nd. I can't wait to get to this one. I love the first one in the series, so I'm excited. Then we have What We Left Behind by Louisa A. Jones. I think I found this one on Audible. London, 1939. Bombs threaten London, and 5 small children step onto a rickety train, clutching their gas masks, heading to an uncertain future. When the war with Nazi Germany sends 5 displaced children to her door, Dottie Fitznorton knows life in her quiet village will never be the same. Her once orderly home is now strewn with odd socks and abandoned toast crusts, and she gasps when she discovers a flea-infested ginger kitten hidden away upstairs. But the baggage these little ones bring is far more than just their tattered suitcases. 8-year-old Olive trembles when spoken to and won't say how she got a bruised lip, and her brother Peter seems angry at the entire world. Then Dottie meets the children's gray-eyed American teacher, Patrick Winter, who makes her feel she's not alone in this fight. I'm assuming it's going to be a love interest and some kind of found family, and I'm all into it. Then we have Ladies in Waiting, Jane Austen's Unsung Characters. Sounds like this is written by several authors. And it's like short stories about the side characters in Jane Austen's books. I heard about this one from Coiny Reads. So, then we have A Grim Reaper's Guide to Cheating Death, Scythe Mysteries number 2 by Max C. Dara. Heard about this one from Carly from the Pastel Bookshelf. This one came out on December 2nd. This is a series, but it sounds like they don't go together. This is a different protagonist who works for the same organization. When a determined killer targets her brother, a Grim Reaper risks everything to save him. Nora Bird works for Scythe, which might seem odd for someone as terrified of death as she is. But ever since her parents died in an accident when she was 6, she's been obsessed with avoiding risk, and what better place to learn how to cheat death than the company that employs the nation's Grim Reapers. The work enables Nora to learn all about the myriad ways you can kick the bucket, which is what? I don't know. Comforting. Sorry, my brown note is missing a dot in one of the cells. Well, each cell is a letter. Anyway, it looks like a J and it's a T. Comforting. Until one day, a file crosses her desk with a name she recognizes. Her twin brothers. So basically, she's trying to prevent him from dying. Next, we have A River Between Us by Jocelyn Green. I heard about this one from Tales and Treats with Tay. Cora May Stewart's world collapses when Sherman destroys the Georgia cotton mill where she works and has her arrested for treason and sent north. Faced with impossible choices, she does what she must to keep a little girl safe in an inhospitable land. Convinced he won't survive the war, Union Sergeant Ethan Howard determines to make his death count for something, but Cora May gives him a reason to live. Trouble is, he's just arrested her on Sherman's orders and torn her from home and family. Interesting. Then we have The House on Foster Hill by Jamie Jo Wright. I heard about this one from Oshina. Kane Prescott is no stranger to death. When her husband died 2 years ago, her pleas for further investigation into his suspicious death fell on deaf ears. In desperate need of a fresh start, Kane purchases an old house sight unseen in her grandfather's Wisconsin hometown. But one look at the eerie abandoned house immediately leaves her questioning her rash decision. And when the house's dark history comes back with a vengeance, Kane is forced to face the terrifying realization she has nowhere left to hide. And then there's alternate timeline. A century earlier, the house on Foster Hill holds nothing but painful memories for Ivy Thorpe. When an unidentified woman is found dead on the property, Ivy is compelled to discover her identity. Ivy's search leads her into dangerous waters, and even as she works together with a man from her past, can she unravel the mystery before any other lives, including her own, are lost. Sounds fun and scary for a stormy night. I'm in. Next we have Three Blue Hearts by Lynn Kelly. Heard about this one from book lover Amanda. Max can't seem to escape the big looming shadow of his politician dad. But for the next few months, Max and his mom are going away to a quiet Texas beach town where Max can be someone else. Someone who doesn't make dumb mistakes that embarrass his father. Someone who knows how to be strong. He stumbles on his fresh start right away when he finds an injured octopus washed up on shore after a storm. With the help of a local wildlife center and a couple of new friends, Max rescues the octopus, who they name Ursula, and vows to take care of her until she's ready to return to the sea. Sounds good. Then we have The Girl Who Reads on the Metro by Christine. I cannot say this French name. I heard about this one from Meredith from the Currently Reading podcast. In the vein of Amelie and the Little Paris Bookshop, modern fairy tale about a French woman whose life is turned upside down when she meets a reclusive bookseller and his young daughter. Juliette leads a perfectly ordinary life in Paris, working a slow office job, dating a string of not quite right men, and fighting off melancholy. The only bright spots in her day are her metro rides across the city, and the stories she dreams up about the strangers reading books across from her. The old lady, the math student, the amateur ornithologist? What's that? The woman in love, the girl who always tears up at page 247. One morning, avoiding the office for as long as she can, Juliette finds herself on a new block, in front of a rusty gate wedged open with a book. Unable to resist, Juliette walks through into the bizarre and enchanting lives of Solomon and his young daughter, Zadie? I don't know. Before she realizes entirely what is happening, Juliette agrees to become a Solomon? What? A name for the bookseller he hires to take stacks of used books out of his store and into the world using their imagination and intuition to match books with readers. So she's going to be a reader matchmaker of some kind. I don't know. Next we have The Bookshop, A History of the American Bookstore by Evan Friss. Heard about this one from Katie from the Currently Reading podcast. Then we have The Quiet Librarian by Alan Eskins, another Currently Reading podcast book. This one was on the indie press list. After the murder of her best friend, a librarian's search for answers leads back to her own dark secrets. Hannah, I cannot pronounce his name, is a quiet middle-aged librarian in Minnesota who wants nothing more than to be left alone. But when a detective arrives with the news that her best friend has been murdered, Hannah knows that something evil has come for her, a dark remnant of the past she and her friend had shared. 30 years before, Hannah was someone else. Nura Divjak, a teenager growing up in the mountains of war-torn Bosnia until Serbian soldiers arrived to slaughter her entire family before her eyes. The events of that day thrust Nura into the war, leading her to join a band of militia fighters, where she became not only a fierce warrior, but a legend, the deadly Knight Mora. But a shattering final act forced Nura to flee to the United States with a bounty on her head. Now someone is hunting Hannah, and her friend has paid the price, leaving her 8-year-old grandson in Hannah's care. To protect the child without revealing her secret, Hannah must again become the Knight Mora and hope she can find the killer before the past comes for them too. Sounds good to me. Then we have The Austen Affair by Madeline Bell. I heard about this one on the Fabled book preview. 2 feuding co-stars in a Jane Austen film adaptation accidentally travel back in time to the Regency era. That's all I need to know. I need to save my voice. Then we have Days You Are Mine by Claire Leslie Hall, another Fabled book preview recommendation. This is the author of Broken Country. I guess she's getting other books that she's written published in the U.S. now that Broken Country was such a hit. So this one is about Luke and Hannah. They live a happy and stable life in London, working jobs they love as they prepare for the arrival of their first child, Samuel. Luke has known he was adopted, but he's never felt the need to seek out his birth mother until he becomes a father himself. Spurred by the connection he feels to his son, Luke's search leads him to his birth mother, Alice. Their first encounter is surreal, a sharp prick that barely scratches the surface of a painful past that neither of them has fully confronted. Alice sinks into memories of her life as a young artist in 1970s London and of her tragic whirlwind romance with an enigmatic musician who would become Luke's father. Meanwhile, Luke spirals as he comes face to face with his feelings of abandonment that he worked so hard to bury. But at least Alice seems keen to make up for lost time by looking after Samuel until her doting grandmother act takes a sinister turn for the worst. Interesting. Next we have If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia, another Fabled book preview recommendation. This is like a fall romance. My new next door neighbor seems to have everything figured out. Small town golden boy, check. Single dad extraordinaire, check. Hot baker, forearms. I didn't notice them, I swear. I, on the other hand, don't at all have anything figured out. Trust me, I didn't think taking over my mom's dream bed and breakfast in Copper Run, Vermont was going to be easy. It should be a good place to heal after my divorce, but apparently my scones belong in the garbage with my small talk skills, as pointed out by none other than Cliff. Cliff is inescapable. He knows exactly what people need always. His charm, the way he wears flannel, and even his pastries make not wanting to be friends with Cliff and his daughters pretty hard. Friends, I can make friends. That's safe. Except I'm leaving in 3 months to pass the inn off to my little sister and get the promotion in Seattle I've been working toward. So ask me why I'm thinking about kissing my hot neighbor. Could be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. It's not really fall anymore. I don't know if there's some Christmas in it. There might be. So maybe I'll read it still. Or wait for next fall. I don't know. Next we have Mist Over the Channel Islands by Sarah Sundin. I heard about this one from Lou from Christian Faith and Fiction. This one's coming out on February 4th. The German invasion of the British Channel Islands shatters Dr. Ivy Pickett's peaceful world, forcing her to shoulder the weight of her father's medical practice and hold together a family unraveling under the strain of war. As conditions worsen in Jersey with the arrival of thousands of forced laborers, Ivy's quiet allegiance to the Allies compels her to risk everything, providing medical aid to escaped workers even as danger closes in. Dutch engineer and resistance member Gerrit van der Zee volunteers to build fortifications for the Germans so he can secretly send maps and diagrams to the Allies. On his arrival in the Channel Islands, he crosses paths with Ivy, who shows him contempt for the uniform he wears. So, yeah. Sounds like there's some kind of romance with them, I guess. I don't want to know anymore. Next, we have A Mother's Second Chance by Sarah. I cannot pronounce this name. I heard about this one from Chloe from Always Booked. This is coming out on December 12th. An utterly heart-wrenching story about love, loss, and second chances. You'd do anything to protect the ones you love. When Zoe Henry's best friend Lou dies, suddenly her world shatters. But she must set aside her grief as she's named guardian of Lou's 2 young children, a role she never expected to be taking on. With her own kids grown up, Zoe was finally beginning to rediscover who she was. Starting over as a mother was the last thing on her mind. But as sleepless nights turn into shared laughter, something begins to stir in her, a new sense of purpose. But just as Zoe starts to believe this unexpected second chance might be the start of something beautiful, a secret left in Lou's house threatens to unravel everything. I want to know the secret. Next we have The Lifeboat Orphans. The Runaway Evacuees number 2 by Ellie Curzon. I'm not going to read the description for that. Then we have The Home for War Orphans. Orphans of St. Agnes number 1 by Jenna Ness. This one came out on December 1st. It just kind of appeared on my Audible. It's a series, a trilogy. Paris, 1940. Golden light bathes the crumbling rooftops of the orphanage. I stroke my little sister's hair and comfort the other war orphans climbing into their rickety truck. We must leave the only home we have left, or the Nazis will find us. Margot has spent most of her life at St. Agnes Orphanage with her little sister, Lucy. She does her best to care for all the children, cradling them under the stars when Sister Helen can't get them to sleep. But she knows just when the Nazis reach the gates of Paris, the Jewish orphans will be in terrible danger. She must help them escape. So, yeah. Then we have The Last War Orphan and The War Orphan's Courage. That one's coming out in March. So, yeah. Then we have some other new releases. Keeper of Lost Children by Sadiqa Johnson. Heard about this one from Gloria Z. Thompson. This one's coming out February 10th. One American woman's vision in post-World War II Germany will tie together 3 people in an unexpected way. Sadiqa Johnson typically writes books about Black people, African Americans. So like the Yellow Wife took place during slavery. So it'll be interesting to read about Germany, World War II. It's not her usual thing, so we'll see. Then we have The Calamity Club by Catherine Stockett. She's the one who wrote The Help. It's another book I heard about from Gloria. This one's coming out on May 5th. Catherine Stockett hasn't written anything since The Help. This one is a group of unbreakable women fighting for what's rightfully theirs and the power of friendship to change everything. I don't know. In 1933, Oxford, Mississippi, Prohibition is on the wane, and the Great Depression is tightening its grip. Poor and rich folks alike have fallen on hard times, even as the old social order remains. For women on the margins, the options are few, and the price of dignity and self-determination is unbearably high. I guess a bunch of women are going to band together. I don't know. Then we have The Forgotten Midwife by Laura Anthony, another book I heard about from Gloria, coming out on May 12th. I love a good midwife story. Set in the dual timelines of present day in 1950s Ireland and based on real historical events, a powerful, poignant novel of feminism and resilience that follows the life of a young woman consigned to work in a home for fallen girls who quickly realizes she must risk everything to protect them. That's all I need to know. Then we have, I think it's the last one, All in Her Hands by Audrey Blake. I heard about this one from Tina from Book Talk, etc., releasing February 24th. A story of love, hope, and perseverance following one woman's fight against an invisible enemy. One woman physician, a group of talented midwives. Ooh, another midwife book. I knew there was another one. A deadly disease spreading. 1849. Dr. Nora Gibson is the only female surgeon in London, in all of England even. After earning her medical degree and overcoming the prejudice of those who wished to see her fail, she's finally earned her place at the Great Queen Street Hospital alongside her newlywed husband and her eccentric but ailing adoptive father, the great Dr. Horace Croft. But peace is hard to come by as a physician, and for one like Nora, it's almost impossible. When Nora takes up the fight to bring midwives into the medical field, her already fragile reputation comes under fire by colleagues and London society itself. I mean, I'm in. So, yeah. That is everything I added to Goodreads in November. Lots of new releases, and yeah. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you guys in my next video. Bye!
Speech up. Stop recording.